I just came back from a fabulous trip to Utah, and I've produced several videos showing my daily progress. But today I want to talk about 3 mistakes I made on this trip that made the trip less wonderful than it could have been. And one of these mistakes could have killed me. Stick around and I'll tell you everything. My name's Peter and I like motorcycles and motorcycle camping. I spent 10 days riding over 6,000 kilometers from Vancouver to Utah and back. And that's a hint about my first mistake. Not taking time for tourism. You might have seen my video on riding too far. That's where I talked about days where I rode 800 kilometers or more. That wasn't the problem on this trip, but Utah has so much to see. I wanted to see Bryce Canyon, and I did. But I stopped, took some pictures, and felt some pressure to get back on the road. Considering the time, it's almost 10:30. I'm not going to go way deep into the canyon to see what's going on. Because I also wanted to ride through Escalante and check out the Burr Trail in Boulder the same day. I could have spent 4 days enjoying the sights along this stretch of highway instead of trying to pack it into one day. Consequently, I didn't ride all the way down the length of Bryce Canyon National Park like I had planned, and I didn't ride as far along Burr Trail as I had planned. But that was also for reason number 2, not paying attention to my gas tank. It's hard to get on the road in the morning, so once I get rolling I don't like to stop. But it's important to be as prepared as possible for the day. I'm talking both about having enough food and water for the day as well as gasoline in the bike. On the day I had the hardest time finding a campsite, I actually passed one in the afternoon, but before the place where I had planned to grab some food for dinner. So I didn't have the option to stop. I could have bought food at the same place I had filled up with gas, but I thought there would be a better selection ahead. There wouldn't have been anything wrong with buying a can of stew and then something better later, if I found it, because the can can just sit at the bottom of the luggage until I need it. Now I could probably find a place to camp here, but I don't have any supplies. Also, twice on this trip, I had to make decisions based on my lack of gasoline when I had every opportunity to refill earlier. I always reset my trip meter when I fill up because the gas gauge shows half full until the tank is actually 3/4 empty. The gas tank still shows just below a half. Can't trust the indicator. I discovered with some anxiety that my bike has a 400 kilometer range. 10K to gas, and now I'm waiting to get through this construction. So I turned my engine off just to conserve what little gas I have. But I really need to ride with the idea in mind that I need to fill up after 200, not wait until the light comes on. Sometimes there's not a convenient filling station around. This leads me to my 3rd lesson, paying attention to my motorcycle. I knew my tires were getting toward the end of their life expectancy. When I bought the motorcycle, it had 2,000 kilometers on it, but it had sat in someone's garage for over 5 years. So I knew they were past the recommended age, so I replaced them. So I knew exactly how much mileage the tires had on them. When I left home, they had around 16,000 kilometers and still had healthy treads. Although I considered replacing them, it was not an expense that I thought I needed to make. All during the trip, I checked the tires regularly. On the second last morning, they still looked serviceable. But I spent the last night in a motel and I left early before dawn. I'm on my way home now. I'm riding up 395 through Oregon. I've got a route plotted on the GPS. Google says it's about 5 hours home and it's 1 o'clock, just after 1 now. I don't know how the tires looked that morning, but 10 hours later, as I waited for my ferry home, I noticed that not only did the tire cord show, but it was shockingly worn. When I discussed this with my mechanic later, he said, once the tires get to the wear bars, they go quickly. I had done almost 900 kilometers that day to get home, and I can't believe how badly worn the tires were when I pulled into my driveway. Taking a day to get new tires in Boise or Bend or Portland would have been well worth it, despite my belief that I had to be home on a certain day. What are the lessons you've learned from your motorcycle camping trips? Have you ever had to buy a new set of tires while on the road? Leave a comment below. I still haven't posted all the videos from my Utah trip, so please subscribe as well. Thanks for watching.